So welcome, Victoria, and welcome parents and staff and students. Right now, I have Victoria Leander with me, who is a graduate of the class 2021 and has been with SPH from kindy right through to grade 12. So Victoria, I do want to say congratulations, not just for being a stellar academic student, and I know congratulations are in order for your perfect DP score of 45, but you have also demonstrated just being a well-rounded student right throughout your years at SPH, and I'm talking specifically about MYP, where I know that you have been involved in kotatoa, Speak Up, and in DP I know you've been involved with initiating the Shakespeare Online Drama Club. So Victoria, I've invited you here so that you can talk about the MYP Middle Years program from your point of view. And so as I go through the different elements of the MYP and SPH, the SPH vision and mission is something that I know that we have been unashamedly professing to be the undergirding of everything that we do, the vision and the mission that's been a part of your learning framework, Victoria. And from that, you have had your grades 7 or year 7, 8, 9, and 10, which are the middle years program. And may I say that it has been a privilege to have been your English teacher for 3 out of 4 of those MYP years. And so the MYP if you like, framework, it supports the diploma program, years 11 and 12. And Victoria, you are now preparing for Yale University. And again, congratulations for that. So my first question to you, Victoria, is the expected student outcomes. How have you been able to integrate your faith and learning at SPH?
Yeah, so I think at SPH, growing in your faith is kind of unavoidable, particularly because firstly, you have the foundation, which is the biblical studies program from kindy all the way through grade 12. And that kind of just forces you to take time out of your week, 1 or 2 periods, or even 3, just to, think about, what you believe in and why you believe in those things. So, all right, I guess by grade 6, we probably already knew what half of the Bible was saying. But that, and perhaps it seemed a bit repetitive to us, but by grade 7 and like MYP and DP and onwards, it served to be very useful because you just get so busy and the program is very rigorous and you need someone to cling on to when things get very overwhelming. And especially as you start to make big decisions like, oh, what should I take for my DP courses? What should I do for my personal project? Where should I apply to for university? There will be many voices around you and they're not wrong. But it's just that, sometimes you just need to narrow your options and just think, okay, what is best for me? And the best way is to ask the one up there. So I think growing in your faith throughout SPH is just so unavoidable, and that's great because you also have that community of friends and especially teachers who can be your mentors in navigating through your life and your faith and all that.
Thanks so much, Victoria, for sharing that. And so I'm going to just get you to share a little bit about the MYP framework. And so you can see at the center of that are our learners, you, the student. And so I'll get you just to share a little bit about that. And then parents, you can see the outer ring from the learner profile is our approaches to learning. And then we have our personal project and services action. The 8 different subjects is where we have our approaches to learning, if you like, are embedded in each of those 8 subjects. And we also have our biblical studies, which is very important to us. And that's also included in SPH. And this makes up what we desire for all of our students and learners to be internationally minded and to be ready for life beyond the classroom. And so, Victoria, my next question for you is looking at the learner profile. This is that very central core of the MYP. Do you mind just talking to perhaps one of these traits that have been key for you? I know that you will have come across all of these in your MYP years, but yeah, feel free to share about anything that really pops out for you from these traits.
Yeah, sure. So I think from all these, the one that really stands out the most is being balanced. And it just connects with all the other learning profiles for sure. But in terms of the MYP, I remember just this big focus on knowing lots of things from different subjects, from all those 8 subjects. You're forced to balance your academic attention, but also balance those heavy things with things like PE and trying to take care of yourself, not just like, going out and playing rugby, but learning how to take care of your body, your diet, how to make a workout plan, and simultaneously balance, being a smart kid, a healthy kid, and also just having some humanity inside of you, doing services action, helping people in the world, or even just like your personal project, having that sense of self-fulfillment. So, the from MYP, and I guess like the whole program overall, we're not told to memorize things and just be learners, but it shows that being a learner is not just about learning about other things, it's also just about learning about yourself. So yeah, I think that's what makes the IB special, making people, balanced individuals.
And you've definitely demonstrated that, Victoria. Thank you for sharing that. Then you touched on this. This is the different skills that are embedded in all of the different subjects at SPH. And so I wonder whether you could just speak to how these skills have helped to develop you as a learner.
Yeah, so I think having done most of the skills aspect, learning about how to apply these skills in classes throughout MYP, it really helped me during DP when teachers just expected you to have these skills in mind and they would just push on through with content. So I think, for example, in terms of research skills, communication skills, those things were very crucial later on in DP. And the way they were built in MYP was just like through the way that the assignments were made. Instead of having exams, mostly I remember we would have projects, group projects, or just individual projects. And the criteria that we were graded on was just so robust that it forced us to do all of these things and practice how to research well, how to make good research questions, how to cite your sources, how to come up with good ideas of your own based on the research that you've already done, such as like, just critical thinking, and also just learning how to collaborate with other people or communicate your findings through different mediums, whether it be through a paper or a mini documentary, anything really. And all the while, of course, you need to learn how to manage yourself to keep up with things as the years go by.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you touched on collaboration. I mean, all of these different skills are crucial to life outside the classroom, to be able to get on with other people, for example, in group work. So thank you for sharing that, Victoria. Then you had your culminating personal project in grade 10, and of course you would have been part of services action in each of the MYP years. Why don't you just share a little bit about your personal project highlights for you?
Yeah, sure. So for my personal project, I researched about how to bridge the gap between Indonesian teens specifically and adults, partly because I saw that there was an issue around me where, kids would say, oh yeah, my parents don't understand me, blah, blah, blah. And it seems very normal in our culture these days, but I thought like it's kind of serious because relationships are key to, moving forward in your life in all areas. So I decided to research on that. And I remember one of the key highlights was that I was able to do such robust research and yet make something simple yet meaningful out of it. So my research, I interviewed people, I read literature to see how kids viewed adults through creative writing, all those sort of things. It's pretty complicated. And I learned that through having such robust research already, you're able to go on and make a product without having to make the product very complicated as well. Because you'll find that, in those exhibitions, there will be some kids who make such really cool inventions or things, which is great. But, there's also a way to succeed in personal project without having to do that. For me, I just made YouTube videos and yeah, yet I was still able to get a good grade. I think, with the whole personal project, the whole journey matters. It's not just about the product, which is just one criterion out of 4. So really invest your time in it, enjoy it, I guess. Otherwise it'll just be very annoying and a bane of your existence. But for me, it was very meaningful. Even though perhaps it was more of a simpler take on the PP, but it was simple, but it could succeed. So that was the biggest takeaway.
Thank you. And you touch on some key success strategies there, where it's got to be something you're interested in, challenging, but something that is going to hold your interest for the next 7 months. And so thank you for sharing that, Victoria. And so you had talked about the MYP, which is very much skills development that have supported you in your DP years, which has been more content heavy. And so this is definitely a hallmark of the MYP framework. Parents, this is important. So you will see that these dates are when the reports are issued and when we have the different terms ending. So first mid-semester ends, and then you have the different, you have the 4 different terms and the 4 different reports issued then. Victoria, you will have also been very familiar with the formative and summative assessment. So parents, formative assessment is an opportunity for educators, for your children's teachers, to support the learning through informal and formal formative work. And so this is a way to build in those important ATL skills that then allow teachers to see how the students have been able to perform on the different assessments, assessment of learning, which is the summative assessments. So you can see that they are demarcated in orange and the formative in light blue. So that is one way that you can support the learning of your child, is just being aware about the formative and the summative, and just talking about the different assessments that you'll be able to see on your child's managed back calendar. And the assessment criteria, so you can see for each of the 8 subject areas, we have 4 criteria. However, we've got 2 that are very special, personal project. And so Victoria had spoken about there were 4 criteria. That has now changed this year. And so actually a change for the better. It's a little bit more fluid and organic, and it makes a whole lot of sense. And so this is new criteria, but a lot of there's so many elements that are similar from previous years. And then our interdisciplinary unit is also new with the 3 criteria, and again many common elements from previous years. The assessment strands and descriptors. So for each of the 8 MYP subjects, we have an achievement level from 0 through to 8. And this supports what the students will be able to see, well, what is it that they need to do, and what are they going to be assessed on. And so for each of the assessments, the summative assessments, there will be task descriptors that make it very clear as to what is expected in each of those bands. From this, the final grade will be out of 7, and so it's progressive up until the end of term 4. Okay, so we're going to finish off there, Victoria, in terms of this is the MYP framework. So I want you to have the last word in sharing some gold nuggets with current SPH students as to some of the strategies or some key things that they should take on as learners.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just give 3. So one is 6 years of senior school, 4 in MYP and 2 in DP, will be very long, and it will seem very, I don't know, kind of scary because you're just preparing until that last leg in grade 12 when you're applying to universities and all that. Just relax. And like, don't motivate yourself by just thinking of like, you know, your identity as a future student at, for example, Yale University, because that's very pressuring and demotivating sometimes. Because there will be times in your academic career where you will get that 5 on an English essay, you know, but it's not the end of the world. So a way to motivate yourself, if you're like a long-term looking person, which you should be, is think of your goal as not just being like, oh, I want to be a Yale student, but think of who you want to become overall as a person. Like, I want to have a good relationship with my teachers, or I want to just have a few friends, but have them very meaningful. All those sort of things that as you grow up, I guess you'll be able to check those off of your list of goals. And you'll be able to see that, you know, it's actually a very manageable thing to achieve at the end of the line. And a second tip, try to get as much done during your school day, because that will help you have at least 7 hours of sleep every single night until DP, the way I did. So just manage your time, try to try to break down big projects into like mini goals every single day, so it seems easier and much more manageable to achieve. And you'll find that it works wonders for your grade as well, because you won't feel stressed out, and you won't be as careless, I would say. And then a final tip, I guess, like kind of going on into like university, because that's what all of you guys really want down the line. Just try to do things that actually make you happy. And maybe some of you will say, well, what makes me happy is games. Well, okay, like video games or something, but you know, you have potential. For example, if you're into video games, you can program a new video game, you know, and have that as a very meaningful part of your application later on, let's say to a computer science program, right? So do what you love, because oftentimes I see kids worrying so much of, oh, I need to get straight 7s every single term, and I need to do crazy, amazing extracurriculars that look good on the application, which is okay, but it will just, you know, cause you so much headaches along the line. So do things that you love, and make sure that you're consistent. Otherwise, it will just be very easy to, you know, take a detour and find yourself in a very awkward situation. So do what you love. Don't think about what the admissions officers will say at the end of the line, because if you love it, it'll definitely show as something that's meaningful in your application, and it will make you stand out to them than most other kids in the world. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Victoria. You continue to bless, and so we bless you as you prepare for your next learning journey. You have been amazing. Thank you. We are thankful for our subject lead teachers who help to support and administer our MYP framework and curriculum. Our SPR policies are very important, so I do urge parents and students to read and agree to these policies. It supports the authenticity and the good running of everything that we do with teaching and learning. I'm going to just focus in on a few key areas under assessment policy. Exams are important. So grade 9 students will have one opportunity for a final exam, and grade 10 will be given 2 opportunities for an examination. An absence on a school-based summative assessment test, students, you will need to sit at the next available opportunity. If you have been reported 3 times and it has been deemed that you have gained an unfair advantage, then you will receive an N for non-submission and a comment. Here, we would like to stress that it is important that all students submit on time with a summative assessment. And so you do need to make sure that you send it in to ManageBack or email, or send it with a family member or driver. Failing that, your teacher can grade your draft or formative work that's based on IB criteria. Determination of grades. So teachers will use a best fit model, and grading will be on a 7-point scale at the end of each grade 7, 8, 9, and 10 year. There will be interim progress reports at each of the terms, mid-semester 1, 2, and semester 1 end. They're progressive, and then the final grade will be given at the end of semester 2. Academic integrity is very important, and so these are different areas that that students should be made aware of. And so again, it's just making sure that we're able to have authentic work that is truly your own. So thank you again, and just a reminder that we will be getting you to agree that you have read, that you understand, and so this will be coming out to you. And again, you can find the policies at the SPH Library Parent Resources. Thank you.
SPH wouldn't be SPH without our caring teachers.
SPH would not be SPH without the camaraderie that we have amongst our peers.
SPH wouldn't be SPH without the bond we all have with each other.
SPH would not be SPH without its after-school sports programs. It not only pushes me to become a better athlete, but also helps me connect with more people by allowing me to cross grade boundaries.
Although we've had to move all our activities online for more than a year now, the spirit of being an SPH student has never faded away. SPH's strongest identity is our strong community and the relationship we all have with each other.
Whether they are our relationships with our teachers or with our friends, they are the reason why we can so comfortably call SPH our second home. Realizing this importance, there are many ways through which we continuously foster these relationships.
One of which is us, the Student Council, with each committee focusing on a different aspect of student life. The Student Council hosts numerous events outside of the classroom to keep the connection between the different grade levels and the community as a whole.
There are a number of events that we have adapted to home learning, such as Sing Off, Step Up, and Deeper Fuels. This year, we are striving for even more fun activities, especially with our undying hope for hybrid learning.
Hello, my name is Phoebe, and I had the greatest opportunity to do my personal project about food waste last year. So by revolving my entire project around my passion and my interest, it actually pushes me to take more challenges and risks as a student. It opened a new world of food waste in general because my personal project was very research-based, as my goals were to create a social advocacy platform and an effective food waste management system that everyone can use. Throughout the whole year, I learned a lot of new skills which are not just limited to thinking or self-management. I learned how to communicate with experts in the field because they became my primary resources. So I think the personal project becomes an incredible opportunity for all of us to expand our knowledge, understanding, and application about our passions.
Hi, my name is Darren Kisnowo, and I'm in the class of 2023. And in my last year of the MYP, I did the personal project. And the topic that I chose to do for personal project was to write a movie script, like this one. And I did it over the course of that year, where the first half of the process was more towards researching, and the second half of the process was more towards actually creating our product. And I had a lot of fun doing the personal project. It really allows you to unleash your creativity and pursue a topic that you don't normally do a lot in regular school, which was fictional writing for me. So it was very interesting to be able to have this opportunity within the school to do something that you wouldn't normally be able to do.
Hello parents, my name is Rene Sompi. I'm the Biblical Foundation Coordinator of SPH LV.
Hello, my name is Kwa and I am the Spiritual Life Coordinator at LV.
I just want to give you a quick overview of our curriculum for Biblical Studies this year. As you all know, Biblical Studies is a school-based subject, so it's not technically MYP subject by the IB program. However, I want to make sure that you understand this, that it's not an exaggeration when I say that this is the most important subject for your children to learn in this Christian school. Because the study of the Bible is foundational to learning at Sekolah Pelita Harapan. It is at the core of our school vision and mission. We ask students to wrestle with these big questions, and then we also welcome all children from different faith backgrounds to engage in the reading and understanding the text. And then later on, they can reflect in their own personal faith journey. For this year, we all have 3 units for each grade level, from grade 7 to 10. And this is our team. For teacher in grade 7, myself and also Mr. Kwa and Mrs. Rebecca Metcalf. For grade 8, Mr. Kwa, Mrs. Rebecca, and Ibu Yuyun. For grade 9, myself and Ibu Yuyun. And for grade 10, myself, Mr. Kwa, and Mrs. Rebecca Metcalf. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Kwa.
All right, sure, yes. This is the Spiritual Life role at SPH LV. I am the Spiritual Life Coordinator. Our school's vision of true knowledge, faith in Christ, and godly character sets our goals for spiritual life. Here at LV, our desire is that students will come to know Jesus Christ, our Lord, and be in relationship with Him and all of His children, with the aim that they would find their ultimate joy in God, in all of life. Jesus says in John 10:10, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come so that they may have life and have it to the full." Our desire is we would point students to Jesus Christ so that they may have the most full life that God desires for them. Our team's role is to work regularly together to organize senior school chapels. Grade 7 and 8 and 9 is on Thursdays. Grade 10, 11, and 12 is on Tuesdays, as well as homeroom connect times where teachers and students come to engage one another in discussions about the Bible, as well as mission service as learning, where the students go and serve the community here and abroad. And lastly, with senior school retreats, in conjunction with the year-level lead teachers, we organize retreats for all of the school levels so that they may come and be refreshed in the word of the Lord. Who's on our team? We have Mrs. Rebecca Metcalf, Mr. Owen, both seasoned veterans. We have Mr. Davis, Miss Christina, Mr. David Park, and Miss Barrett. Our roles and our functions is to minister to the students, is to provide discipleship to the students, to engage the community, to engage prayer, praying for our community, including you, the parents, and lastly, to proclaim the gospel. We desire that students become truth seekers, faithful disciples, servant leaders, flourishing learners, world changers, and confident communicators in all of our student objective ESOs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Brock Haylock, the Dean of Students, and today I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about our Student Services Department. If you're familiar with our school and have been with us for a few years, you probably remember this department more as the Pastoral Care Department. We have chosen to change the name for a couple of reasons. One, this department now actually works in both the junior school and the senior school together to help create continuity across the whole school. As well, the title of pastoral care tended to kind of lean a bit more in relation to the spiritual life aspect of our campus. So we have decided to make it a name that fits a bit more with the purposes of this department. In talking about this department, I would like to look a little bit at the focus. If you look on the left of the screen, you'll see the IBO model for the MYP years. And at the very center, we have what are called the ATLs, or the approaches to teaching and learning. The Student Services Department mostly works with the approaches to learning because no matter what subject students are in, there are all these skills that they use in order to be successful in the classroom. Unfortunately, not every student is able to achieve as highly as they might like. So the Student Services Department will come alongside them to try to help support them in a variety of different ways, which we'll talk about in a moment. On the right, SPH as a school has what are called the expected student outcomes. And for us, Student Services tends to focus within the Flourishing Learners section. Again, students take classes, then they get grades in those classes, but those grades are not exactly where we'd like them to be. And that can actually be for a wide variety of reasons. Sometimes it's academic skill, but sometimes it's also social, emotional issues that are happening behind the scenes. There could also be different kinds of executive functioning and self-management types of skill areas that are maybe problematic, and that can also make it difficult for students to be as successful as they would like. So ultimately, Student Services Department, we do work a little bit behind the scenes. And we are supporting the teachers and trying to help them and help our students to be all that they can be to achieve their best potential. Now, very quickly, this table I tried to create a little bit new for this year, just so it's a little easier to read. This just provides a quick overview of the structure of our department. You'll see that in the senior school, there's actually 5 areas that are a part of our department. The one you will probably work most with would be the year level lead teachers. And you can see here grade 7 is Mrs. Rebecca, grade 8 is Leah, grade 9 is Mr. David, and then grade 10 is Miss Rowland. The main goal of the year level lead is basically to support the overall workings of the grade level. And they also work closely with us in Student Services to help monitor students that might be struggling in different ways so we can find ways to basically improve their situation. They often deal with different kinds of discipline and behavior issues as well, but during a home learning context, a lot of those things function a bit differently than typical. In the learning support area, that's actually where most of the counseling happens. And we have basically 2 people, Ibu Sella and Ibu Catherine, who provide kind of the tier 1 support for our students. So as they're monitoring students and they notice they might be challenging in a class or 2, they'll kind of come alongside to try to support them and help them figure out what kind of things are preventing them from doing their best. In very specific cases, we have Ibu Hastin and Mr. Christian, who works with our students that are on individualized education plans. There's very specific criteria in order to be classified as an IEP student. And we can talk more about that if you have interest in those kind of things. EAL, or English as an Additional Language, is run by Mrs. Rebecca. However, that is only done from grades 7 to 8, because our goal is that once they achieve, or once they get out of grade 8, they should be ready for the high school years to function at more or less a native English level speaker and also a native English level writer. Now, it does not always happen exactly that way, but generally speaking, it is the expectation that once they hit grade 9, they're pretty much high-level English language students. Now, primarily focused in grade 11 and 12, we have our career counselors. However, they do provide some preliminary career counseling in grade 9 and 10 through a few select events. But of course, you as parents, anytime you want to talk to career counselors about any sort of type of thing. This could be discussing how the DP program works in grade 11 and 12. It could be talking about university requirements or whatever. you're more than welcome to talk to either Vivi or either Angela at any time. Personal counseling, we do have one part-time counselor named Eva Yuli. So here, if we have students struggling socially or emotionally, we will often refer them to her to provide some preliminary counseling. This is more of a basic approach to counseling. It's not meant to be at the psychologist or psychiatrist level. So a lot of, she can do multi-week programs with students and families, but depending on the situation, sometimes we will refer students and families to pursue external counseling support. That's it for me. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to meeting you.
Good afternoon, parents and students. Welcome to Middle Year's Program Orientation for this school year. This is David Hammett from the Ministering Arts. On behalf of the music team, I'd like to update you on a few highlights. Firstly is the focusing of ensembles onto large performing groups, such as traditional music, band, choir, and strings program. These ensembles will also cover the MYP elements and all the criteria needs to be assessed from grade 7 to 10. Secondly, we also welcome Ibu Priscilla and Pa Andre from the Waltzio music team, who will be leading our strings instruction for this school year. Lastly, we also welcome Miss Hannah Smith as an addition to the team. She is a band specialist who will also help us grow our music program. Thank you very much. God bless you all.